today's news, XRP will flip Bitcoin. XRP will cannibalize Swift. XRP will replace USDT Tether. I'm sure you've heard this dance before, but it's not just some conspiracy theory, and it's not just me saying this. There are signs all over the world, confirmation from industry leaders that this is the case. As we can see firstly here from Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse in a presentation he gave to the IMF and Swiss National Bank, to financial leaders of this world effectively, he demolished Bitcoin, stating that XRP was built by engineers who have seen flaws in Bitcoin and scalability, and that XRP is 1,000 times faster than Bitcoin. Take a listen.
Because it requires capital to get it there. Our view in the future is you don't have to have this pre-funding, and instead you can use a digital asset to have global liquidity on demand. Now, we build upon a tech stack, an open source technology called XRP. XRP originally was built by some engineers who had seen some of the flaws of Bitcoin and the challenges of scalability around Bitcoin. Where Bitcoin today, on a per transaction basis, it's rather slow and rather expensive. XRP is very, very fast, about 1,000 times faster per transaction and 1,000 times cheaper per transaction. The other dynamic, of course, of correspondent banking is some of the more quote unquote exotic currencies, exotic corridors have been left to kind of stand on their own. And the liquidity in digital assets could be applied to actually make that much more democratized and a level playing field. Ripple's vision from the beginning really has been to apply these technologies in the same way that TCP/IP and HTTP are the technologies underpinning the Internet of Information. These blockchain technologies will be the underpinnings of an Internet of Value, where we have connected devices, we have connected information that will allow payments to flow. And as Norman was describing, if you're a large corporation moving $100 million, that's one thing. If you're a freelancer working in the Philippines doing design work for a company in London and you want to get paid $30 or 30 pesos, Philippine pesos, if that's not a transaction that can easily be enabled. And in fact, for the companies that enable that, they require the freelancer to set up an account, and they don't actually pay it out until there's roughly 1,000 USD sitting in that account, and then they would pay it out.
Now this is definitely not a conspiracy theory. This is an undisputed fact. And it's no surprise that now both the IMF and Swiss National Bank are connected to and in partnership with Ripple. Ripple is the one at the center of all real world developments happening right now in the financial system all across the world, with partnerships across the globe. As we can see from Jack the Ripper here, it is finally here. The XRP card has arrived. XRP is in partnership with the biggest payment company, Visa MasterCard, helping them transition seamlessly from the old monetary system to the new one. So now you can think of MasterCard as a tech company in the payment space. Take a listen.
There are increasing numbers of different rails and payment rails that MasterCard is involved in. I would probably say even just beyond money, just actually confirming a transaction and having that ability to think of it like a tech company in the payments space is probably the best way to really go about it. So all the new things that you're seeing with, say, digital wallets, use of tokenization, anything that helps to make transactions secure online, all of these things MasterCard has been involved with for a very long time, all the way through to things like central bank digital currency and even blockchain applications.
Ripple is so deeply ingrained into this financial system that you probably don't even realize, hence why it is destined to be worth thousands of dollars. And Ripple's president, Monica Long, recently gave a scoop on the Block podcast, explaining the role and use cases of XRP, the goal of tokenization and cross-border payments, exactly why XRP is going to take over. Listen closely.
And when you think about major corridors like US dollar, euro, there's a lot of liquidity there. You don't really need a bridge asset like XRP. And that was the inventors of the ledger, the way that they'd always talked about. And, when I think back to the very early days of Ripple, what we had always talked about was the use case for a neutral cryptocurrency as a bridge asset. So like XRP in this case would be for in the future of the Internet of Value, there's going to be all kinds of things tokenized on chain. And you need an asset like that for really efficient cross-currency or cross-token settlement it's more the long tail. Let me simplify it. It's more the long tail of assets and currencies where the costs, when you think in the context of cross-border payments, you have different currency crosses between, a sub-Saharan African country and the Middle East or Europe. And the liquidity is not as great. The costs are very high. You could pay, north of 10% on that in fees for a payment like that. So that's where we see XRP having its role.
And this is just another reason, one of many, as to why XRP is destined to one day flip Bitcoin. As all these real world developments are unfolding, the world is slowly being tokenized. But one day it will be a sudden shift. Eventually everything of value will be tokenized and on chain, and XRP will be at the center of it all. Once this happens, it will create massive wealth.
Every collectible car, every piece of real estate, every private business, everything of value in the world will eventually be a token. This adoption of technology, this evolution, it's not a revolution, it's an evolution of technology, that everything of value will be a token on a blockchain. Not a coin, not a thing, it's literally a line item on a public ledger. Everything of value will be that. And every transaction of value will happen in digital assets. You don't need the pieces of paper. Wipe out all of DTCC, which processes $1.8 quadrillion a year. That is a large number. That will all move to digital. And when it does, it will create massive wealth, the greatest wealth creation opportunity I'm going to see in my lifetime.
Have you ever asked yourself the question as to the obvious reason why Ripple are the ones attending these policy summits and these closed door meetings about this new financial system, about the financial world, whereas Bitcoin and Ethereum and USDT Tether are nowhere to be seen? Their time has an expiry date, their time is running out. Now, I am not saying by any means that this is going to happen in the next couple of years or so. I'm not saying that Bitcoin is going to disappear in a few years. It's going to be a long transition, but in time, in my personal opinion, not financial advice of course, in time, I believe XRP will be number one. Bitcoin will likely reign supreme for much longer, but assets like USDT, for example, their lifespan is much shorter, and it's quickly being squeezed out of existence, as yet again, another crypto exchange, this time being Bitstamp, has been forced to take action. Bitstamp dropped Tether's Euro stablecoin EURT amid new MiCA rules, which states pretty much that anything Tether cannot be regulated and it cannot be trusted. This is dire, terrible news, because Tether will likely cause one of the biggest black swans in history, far worse than the collapse of FTX, as 50% of all Bitcoin and Ethereum transactions, number one and number two crypto, are done in Tether. So this could be a very massive collapse of crypto, one that many people are going to get very, very worried on and probably lose out on all their investments. But again, silver lining here is this is good news for Ripple and XRP, as there is ample of proof out there that MiCA does support Ripple and XRP, and that XRP is MiCA compliant. And to combat the high liquidity rails that Tether would be used for, Ripple is releasing their own stablecoin, the RLUSD, that can be utilized for such transactions like dollar to euro, while XRP can be used for lower liquidity rails like dollar to Mexican peso. And the world has been patiently waiting for Ripple's revolution. We can see from Bloomberg's interview here that Hong Kong have been preparing for the RLUSD for some time now. Listen closely.
How important is the stablecoin world to the broader crypto ecosystem, and how vulnerable is it to U.S. regulation?
I think stablecoin worldwide is a super important topic. U.S. in many sense, I think, being sitting in Silicon Valley, we need to get ahead of the game, because I'm looking at Hong Kong, actually just launched this year the stablecoin sandbox. And for the past 18 months or so, they literally went worldwide and talking to Circle, Ripple, Visa, Alibaba of the world to make sure that government really are on top of regulations, to basically have very clear guidelines to approve various different institutions to be able to support stablecoins. So in that sense, in the cross-border payment, if we just purely let other people to define what stablecoin is about, it's really not good for the long-term finance ecosystem. So I think U.S. really we need to get our act together to catch up with in Europe with MiCA, or in Hong Kong or Singapore, which is already have very clear regulation to support it.
At this point, there aren't many hurdles left for XRP to overcome. They have done the grueling, the dirty work, the hard work, expanding their adoption all over the world to every single continent bar Antarctica, in partnerships with central banks and governments all over the world, with the growing BRICS alliance as well, which is a very big deal, And they also are in the endgame. The final judgment is close with the lawsuit against the SEC. With so much riding on Ripple at this point, it only makes sense that it is sensible. It is sensible, as Monica Long stated, it is sensible that the institutions of the world will want an XRP ETF. Right now, Solana seems to be winning in the race to be number 3 in the ETF offerings, but I wouldn't be surprised if XRP leapfrogs Solana, because institutional investors own cryptocurrencies that can use USD stablecoins, and the XRP ledger will soon have its own USD stablecoin, 100% backed by the US government, or LUSD. So much is riding on Ripple. Its takeover was pre-planned, and XRP is going to be worth thousands of dollars. So do your own research and remember, don't look short term, think long term, and I'll see you in the next one.